My name is Claire Dawson. I'm 33, and the worst betrayal of my life didn't happen during my car accident. It happened while I was lying unconscious in a hospital bed. 6 weeks after giving birth to my son, Noah, a speeding pickup slammed into my SUV outside Denver. My husband was on a business flight to Boston, 6 hours away, so he begged my parents to stay with our newborn for one night. They refused. One sentence from my mother changed everything: "Your brother's family needs us more." 3 hours later, my grandfather walked into my hospital room carrying an old envelope that changed my life forever. When I finally opened my eyes, the first thing I asked wasn't about my broken ribs or the surgery. I whispered, "Where's Noah?" The nurse hesitated before telling me Child Protective Services had almost taken temporary custody because no immediate family member agreed to care for him. My parents had answered every hospital call, yet they kept repeating they were too busy helping my younger brother settle into his new house. I couldn't believe it. They had chosen furniture shopping over their own grandson. Tears rolled down my face as guilt crushed me. Then another nurse quietly leaned closer and said, "Someone arrived just before the deadline and refused to leave without seeing your baby." My heart raced. I assumed it was my husband, but his flight hadn't even landed yet. So who had saved Noah, and why hadn't anyone told me until now? The answer came moments later. The hospital room door opened, and my grandfather, Walter Dawson, stepped inside with Noah sleeping peacefully in his arms. At 78, he looked exhausted, but his eyes were steady. "You're not alone anymore," he whispered before placing my son beside me. He explained that the hospital had reached him only after failing to convince my parents. The second he heard Noah might be placed with strangers, he drove nearly 4 hours without stopping. Then he looked at me with disappointment I had never seen before. "Your parents didn't just refuse the baby," he said quietly. "They told the social worker they weren't willing to be responsible for either of you." I felt something inside me shatter. Before I could speak, Grandpa handed me the sealed envelope I'd seen earlier. "Your grandmother made me promise to give you this only if your parents ever proved they valued convenience over family." My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a notarized letter, a property deed, and one handwritten sentence that made my heartbeat stop: "Everything they expected to inherit belongs to you now." I spent the next month recovering, but I never looked at my parents the same way again. They suddenly appeared with flowers, apologies, and excuses after learning about my grandmother's estate. My mother insisted it had all been a misunderstanding. My father claimed they had been under pressure. Grandpa simply placed the hospital records on the table. Every missed call, every refusal, and every statement they made to the social worker was documented in black and white. The silence that followed said more than any apology ever could. A week later, I transferred the house into a trust for Noah's future and named Grandpa its trustee. My parents realized they would never inherit a single dollar. They walked away angry, calling me selfish, but for the first time in my life, I didn't chase after them. I chose the family who chose me. Today, Noah is 5 years old and still calls Grandpa his hero. As for me, I learned that blood doesn't make someone family. The people who stay when your world falls apart do. And sometimes, the greatest inheritance isn't money, it's finally knowing exactly who truly loves you.